Hey everyone, this is Laura Gdenik with Laura Gdenik Astrology, and I'm here to give you the astrology for the week of September 21st through the 27th, 2020. Okay, so we have the first astrological event this week happening on Tuesday, the 22nd, when the sun enters the sign of Libra. So this marks the fall equinox because this is the beginning of a season. This is the beginning of fall. And so Libra is what's known as a cardinal sign. Cardinal signs are always the beginning of the season. So this marks a turning point in the year where we're heading into the darker part of the year. We're heading into winter now. So Libra season is the time of year in the northern hemisphere where the daylight is fading. I mean, it has been fading since the summer solstice, but the daylight is fading more quickly, and the days are becoming shorter, and the harvest is coming to a close. So in ancient times, this would be the time of year where we kind of get the final harvest and the final fruits and veggies from our gardens and trees. And so things are wrapping up in Libra season, and things are starting to die. And so this is actually one reason why the sun, in ancient terms, is in its fall in the sign of Libra. It's not super strong here because the sun likes being in signs where it has the most strength, where it's in the sky for the longest amount of time. So the sun is stronger in the summertime because the sun has longer time in the sky. But in Libra, this is the point, this is the turning point of when the sun's light is fading, and it's taking a pretty drastic turn towards becoming darker and less luminous. And that's where we get Libra being about relationships, because the sun is more about us and who we are and our individuality and how we can individuate, right? But Libra is a sign about we. It's about us. How can we function in relationships? How can we all get along? Um, so that brings me also to the idea that Libra is one of the signs of justice. Most specifically, it's the sign of justice having to do with letter of the law, agreements, contracts, things like marriage, right? Because marriage is an agreement, it's a contract, it's a commitment. These things will be kind of maybe coming up more for the next 30 days or so while the sun's in Libra. Um, but letter of the law, that is, in a sense, that's the law. The law is a contract. It is an agreement. It's, this is the law, and you're abiding. You're saying you're going to abide by the law, right? Um, so that's where that comes from. But also with relationships and marriage, we all have agreements and contracts that we make with each other so that we can all get along and get all of our needs met. Um, so yeah, the themes of justice, specifically justice in terms of letter of the law, relationships will be a huge theme. I mean, they've already been a huge theme. I mean, their relationships are always a theme, but more specifically, relationships having to do with compromise, with agreements, with contracts, that'll be highlighted this month. This might be the time of year where you're more concerned with everyone getting along, with, being very accommodating, trying to keep the peace. Libra is also a sign associated with the scales. And what are the scales good for? They're good for measuring and weighing the worth of something so that you can make an informed decision. So Libra season is also about making judgments, about making decisions about, it can be about anything that feels important to make a decision about, but it is about judgment, what's right and wrong, what's best for me versus best for you. Probably more specifically, this is about judgments in relationships, and that comes into contracts and agreements. So yeah, so that's Libra season, which we'll be starting on the 22nd. On Wednesday, the 23rd, we have Mercury appear in Libra, entering into a square with Saturn in Capricorn. So this is kind of beginning a rough time for Mercury, because the next day, Mercury will, at the same time, will be making an opposition to Mars. Because remember, we're having this Mars square Saturn situation for the entire month of September. So there's a lot of tension and working things out. And, Saturn in Capricorn is also about commitment. Saturn in Capricorn and Mercury in Libra are really talking about agreements and contracts and how can we all get along while remaining who we are, and while remaining sensitive to what we want, but it's all about making agreements and contracts that work for everyone involved. Um, so Mercury square Saturn. Mercury represents our mind, how we think, how we communicate. Mercury also represents travel, siblings, because of the twin association with Gemini. Um, so on Wednesday and Thursday, when Mercury is making these aspects to Saturn and Mars, definitely be careful while traveling. Give yourself extra time to get places. Make sure you have some extra money in case you get a flat tire or something. This is a pretty volatile energy for mercurial things, which includes traveling. Also, Mercury representing messages. So this could be giving or receiving difficult messages or news. This could be about delays in communication as well, and waiting to hear back about something, and not hearing back, but then eventually maybe getting news about something pretty surprising or unexpected and having to react really quickly. That's where Mars comes into play. um, yeah, Mercury in Libra, once again, bringing in the Libra themes, all about commitments and agreements and compromises. But this is about agreements, commitments, and compromises that are ethical, responsible, and serious. Making sure we are keeping to our vows. That's Saturn and Capricorn speaking. We might be having more serious conversations in relationships having to do with agreements and also boundaries. Um, you know, Saturn and Capricorn can be very critical and perfectionistic. So this could also be a time where you might be very conscious of flaws in an agreement. It might be time to adjust agreements you're already in, to make them more ethical to you, and to make sure that they're working for you. Um, Relationships will be seen with a critical eye at this time. Communication in general might just be kind of challenging. There might be, a sense of muteness with Saturn, like maybe one person is like, let's talk this out, let's make an agreement, and someone else is playing Saturn and Capricorn and they're just like mute and they're not responding and they're not maybe giving as much, or wanting to verbally communicate as much. That could be a frustrating uh, part of this aspect. Mercury making the opposition to Mars the next day on the 24th could be about verbal conflicts, about fighting and disputes, and maybe saying things that you didn't mean. Maybe letting your thoughts come through words too quickly to the point where you're not able to edit yourself or be tactful. Mercury in Libra is all about being tactful and keeping the peace, and really seeing everyone's point of view. Um, so communication might just be challenging this week. Travel might be challenging. There could be also depressive, heavy thoughts, maybe a sense of loneliness. That's Saturn speaking. Saturn rules over depression, isolation, um, you know, hard, challenging situations in general. Um, yeah, so and you could be talking with someone and maybe something you say comes across the wrong way. So, once again, with Mercury opposing Mars, oftentimes it can be one person playing one role, one planet, the other person playing the other. So you could be on the receiving end of receiving a harsh message, or maybe like some criticism, or you could be the one that accidentally blurts out something not so nice. So um okay. And so yeah, so this week is kind of an intense week. I mean, I know like I have travel plans this week. I'm going to Sedona on Friday with some friends, which is the day after all of this drama happens. So I'm really hoping that things are gonna be okay, and that we're not gonna get in some crazy like wreck or have a flat tire or something. Knock on wood. um, so anyway, just watch out for those themes. The next aspect or planetary action is on Sunday, when Mercury moves into Scorpio. And so by this point, things should have settled down a bit with regards to whatever the drama is that Mercury's bringing up in your life, um, or hard conversations, or at least intense conversations. Although I will say, Mercury moving into Scorpio might continue the theme of having intense conversations, and this is because Scorpio is an intense sign. And I say that because this is the time of year where the harvest is totally over. There's no more food left in the gardens for Scorpio to harvest. So there's this sense of crisis with Scorpio, or like things become very easily a matter of life and death. Um, and Scorpio can be associated with that very intensity and that maybe even scarcity mindset. Um, so in general, mercurial things like communication, um, travel, but mainly communication and how we think, speak, and what we believe, these will become more intense, more biting, more honest, maybe more brutally honest, because Scorpio is, after all, a sign ruled by Mars. And right now, what's Mars doing? Mars is retrograde in Aries. So I don't want to say that like all the hard conversations are over after this week, because they're not. They might not be as biting, or like as much that, like, I think the pinnacle is this week, and I think the conversations are continuing while Mercury is in Scorpio. So during this time with Mercury here, we can look into our psyche to figure out our motivations. This is um, a good time to be investigative and analysis oriented. Mercury in Scorpio can be rather shrewd, so there can be this sense of looking for things that like aren't really there. Scorpio is a sign that likes to dig and dig and kind of get to the root of things to know the truth of the matter. And so there can be kind of an investigative, but also like a non-trusting vibe to Scorpio, which can be, helpful in some situations, but in others it can be like, what are you digging for? Like, just take my word for it, like just believe that what I'm saying is true. So Scorpio can sometimes um, get a little paranoid even, like this is kind of like even ruling over conspiracy theories, trying to look so deeply into something that seems relatively basic that you're maybe looking too far and you're missing like what's just in front of you. So just things to look out for. Mercury will be retrograding in Scorpio later on in the month. So whatever house Scorpio is for you in your personal birth chart, there will be an extended time with Mercury's stay here, and that area of life will be reflected, reviewed upon, and you'll essentially be given a chance to do that part of your chart over again, because that's what retrogrades are all about. They travel backwards through the same degrees that they just traveled through, only to turn around and travel through those same degrees a third time, giving you a second chance. So, but I'll talk about that more when Mercury actually stations retrograde. So that is the astrology of the week. Just be careful with travel plans, with commuting. Be careful with your words. They're going to mean a lot this week, and be mindful of making negotiations and contracts and commitments with people that you love or in relationships that you're in. It is a time to make those contracts while keeping everyone's individual needs in mind, but while maintaining the relationship at the same time. So that is pretty much what the week is about. Let's see, stop sharing. I hope you all have a great week, and I'd love to hear your feedback or comments if you feel like sharing, because that's how I learn as an astrologer. If you're interested in consultation at all, you can email me at consultation@lauragadenick.com or just DM me. That works too. Otherwise, have a great week.